Well, hey, everybody. How we doing?
Howdy. Good.
Caught us off guard there all of a sudden.
Good Monday afternoon, everybody.
Oh, that's good stuff right there, brother. Caught me. I'm glad I didn't have my mouth full or anything.
I'm telling you, I'm glad I have my dentures in.
Yeah, I just had put mine in. Howdy. So glad to see everybody on this fine Monday night. Thank you for joining us. What number are we on, brother?
Seven.
I think you're right. 7 episodes of the Southern Gospel Spin. Thank y'all so much for joining us tonight. And as we get started, we would appreciate it greatly. If you're watching on SBM Studios Facebook page, please click that share button. We'd love for you to like our studios page as well, and you will never miss an episode of the Southern Gospel Spin or Southern Gospel Forward. And also, we have a lot of watchers on YouTube as well. Thank you so much for joining us, and we would love for you to click that subscribe. If you haven't found our YouTube page, it is SBM Studios, and there you will find all kind of content. You got the Southern Gospel Forward broadcast, you got the Southern Gospel Spin broadcast, some old episodes of the original SBM Studios podcast, a few Southern Gospel things here or there.
Just a plethora.
My son's graduation, and that's worth the admission price right there. So no, all kind of good things on that channel. So y'all joining us. And hey, how about I do a little bit of business right quick? That sound like a plan?
Sure.
All right. Y'all, we hadn't talked a whole lot about these here lately, but we still have our coupon codes up for some sponsors. And we would love for you to consider helping us out as we continue to work towards some budget goals for the Southern Gospel Spin, Southern Gospel Forward. And bensoap.com. You go there, it's got all natural products made from goat's milk, great soap, great lotions, all kind of goodies, and a great family, a Christian family. And they have given a coupon code of SBM Studios. You go there, you get a percentage off, and you help us out, and we appreciate that. Also, we have a coupon code for you at mypillow.com, and both me and my buddy here, we believe in MyPillow. That's the only thing I'll put my head on now. And they have all kind of different products. Again, a lot of American made. They got blankets, towels, the pillows, pillowcases, stuff for your pets, some slippers, bathrobes, pajamas, about everything you can think of. And again, an American-owned, Christian-owned company. If you go to mypillow.com, use the coupon code SBM Studios, and we would greatly appreciate it.
Absolutely.
And also give a little love and a shout out. Today opened up the voting for the Southern Gospel Music Association Hall of Fame. Anybody who had registered to be a member about this past Friday got a ballot if you had an email address. And we believe in the Southern Gospel Music Hall of Fame and Museum and the association. Everything that's represented. Museum is situated in the Biblical Times Theater in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. And you can go there and view the history of Southern Gospel music. A wonderful job done with this. But if you'll go to sgma.org, you can become a member for $20 a year, and you help curate the museum and keep things going with that. Also, you can get a brick for, I think it's $100. You can get a brick with your name or in memory of inscribed and be laid down right in front of the Blackwood Brothers Quartet bus replica there at the museum site. And that's really cool. Lots of different things you can do there. Please consider becoming a partner with the Southern Gospel Music Association. Also want to give a shout out and make sure y'all are aware of the NQC spring break coming up April the 11th through the 12th. And that is in Pigeon Forge, Tennessee. That's going to be at the LeConte Center. And then also the granddaddy of them all, the National Quartet Convention, that's going to also be at the LeConte Center September 22nd through 28th. so many groups, too many to names, but 7 straight nights of just continual Southern gospel music, 4 days worth of showcases or during the afternoon and chapel in the morning, and just a wonderful, wonderful week for any Southern gospel music fan. You can go to nqconline.com. Got that right. And find out all you want to about the National Quartet Convention.
Yeah, I mean, National Quartet Convention, I mean, it's everything Southern Gospel. If you're into Southern Gospel, that's the place to be. And even if you are even curious about Southern Gospel, that's the place to be, is the National Quartet Convention in Pigeon Forge.
I tell you what, if you go and you don't enjoy it, Jason will give you your money back. How about that?
Hang on now.
Anyway, Jason, let's get out of this before we get in trouble. Why don't you tell our folks about our guest tonight?
Yeah, I'd love to. We are so excited to have this gentleman with us tonight. Just over the last year, I guess, I have really gotten to know him and gotten to be good friends with him. And we talked to him about coming on.
Yeah.
And he's an Alabama boy.
He is.
He's an Alabama boy. So,
but he and I have something in common.
We're not going to talk about that. We're not going that route tonight. No,
he's
I'm
a
just
very
kidding.
Wise Alabama boy. Yeah,
he's wise in some ways.
Yeah. There you
but
go.
Anyway, would you please welcome to our broadcast tonight from Karen Peck and New River, Mr. Grant Gibson.
What's going on, guys?
What you say?
They're twinning tonight. Look at us with the hoodies here.
Hey, that's right. Got to represent, right?
Yeah, man. I love it.
Well, Grant, man, we certainly appreciate you taking just a little bit of your time. I know that you guys got in late last night or really early this morning.
Yeah.
And so I'm sure that the trip and the weekend still wearing on you, but we're thankful that you decided to be with us this afternoon.
Absolutely.
Oh gosh, it's my honor. When you asked me, I was tickled. So the honor is all mine. And we made it in last night from Mississippi and got in about 5:30 this morning. So
yeah, it's been kind of a long time no see, Grant.
Yeah, about 12 hours, I think.
Yeah, about 24 hours, something like that. Yeah. But anyway, kind of how we kick these things off, Grant, is we just kind of toss it to you and let you give an introduction and tell us a little bit about who Grant Gibson is.
Okay, yeah, absolutely. Well, like you said, my name's Grant Gibson, and I currently sing with Karen Peck and New River, for those that don't know, and have been involved with gospel music now for about 15 years, which is crazy to think. But I'm originally from Jasper, Alabama, and fell in love with this music when I was 14 years old. And my life, honestly, has never been the same. God's kind of directed my path through schooling and everything else to this point. And have sang with a few other groups. Before I sang with Karen, I spent 5.5 years with a group called 11th Hour. And I feel like that's probably where most people first saw me. Mm-hmm. And then before that, my first opportunity to sing and travel was with a group called Deborah Perry and James Call. And I sang with them for about 1.5 to close to 2 years. And wonderful experiences everywhere I've been. But man, I'm so thankful to be where I'm at. It's been crazy. This month, actually, it's been 6 years with Karen Peck and the guys. And so it's been incredible.
Wow. So now you are, you mentioned, what'd you say, 15 years?
Yeah.
And now, is that full time for 15 years?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. That's awesome.
That's good. All right. So you mentioned 14 years old, I think you said, when you was introduced, and it just changed your life. I'd like to know what was your introduction to Southern gospel music? What were some groups that kind of formed your love for Southern gospel?
To be honest with you, our family, we didn't go to a church that sang Southern gospel. Growing up, went to a very traditional Baptist church, and we moved churches, and the music minister there and his wife actually invited our family to Gold City's homecoming over in Gadsden, Alabama.
Okay.
This was, I don't know, 99, 2000.
Okay.
And I've talked about it with Mark Trammell before, because what I remember about that building, the air conditioning was out. And Tony Gore Majesty was also there in that room that night. And he was out there selling Afghans for like $20.
Leave it to
Tony. Around the building selling these Afghans to these old ladies. And it was so funny. He's one of those guys that could sell ice to an Eskimo.
Yes.
But I'll never forget it. Honestly, that it kind of changed my life. I fell in love with this music. I remember the Band of Gold up there. And it was Jay, Mark, Tim, and Jonathan. And it honestly changed me. And then if y'all remember Wayne Wallace, do y'all remember him?
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah. I started listening to his show, and he was really the one that kind of introduced me to this industry and all these groups. And I started going to concerts and just fell in love with it.
That's great.
That's been, Wayne Wallace had an impact on all of us, even thinking about, I've talked about my childhood and having the family group that sang, but really the one who opened up my eyes, just like Grant said, to everything out there, Southern gospel, was Wayne Wallace.
Yeah. I remember Wayne and got to meet him on occasion. And I looked forward to, I think his program was on every night, wasn't it? Through the week?
Yes, it was.
The Dixie Gospel Caravan.
Yes, sir. Right? Dixie Gospel Caravan.
I can still hear it. Like it started off with "Give the World a Smile Each Day," the instrumental.
So tell us a little bit about family.
Well, again, it was all kind of a God thing. When I first started traveling with Karen, I actually met my wife through the group. My wife is Carrie's best friend, and we've been married now for 4 years. Her name's Susanna, and she's also from Dahlonega, which is the reason I moved out of Alabama. And so we have a beautiful little boy. His name's Oliver, and he's just turned 3 last month, and very, very blessed. And we actually got some exciting news, which I can share with you now. We're actually expecting another little boy in August. So
hey, you heard it here first.
Football team.
Heard it here first. That's good.
Congratulations.
Congratulations.
I tell you what, Jason, while you're reloading your next question, why don't we run through our comments right quick and let some folks check in? Sure. Tim Merle from Salisbury, Maryland. Thank you so much for watching. One of my counterparts on Southern Gospel Forward, Riley Wheeler, he is awake tonight and watching us. We're glad. And Zach Stanley. Oh, he's going to catch up on the replay, but how do you comment just then if he's going to catch up on the replay? I'm confused. Anyway, all right. Good to see you. All right. How about Miss Jean Wilson Holman from Dothan, Alabama? Thank you so much for joining us.
Jean?
And you might know some of these. Make sure you give them your due shout outs.
I love this little format. I can see these comments over here.
Absolutely. Yeah.
And I'm going to go ahead and just ignore Pat Barker's comment. It's not even worth reading that.
Well, I'm getting to it. We'll give him 2.5 seconds of airtime. How about that? Okay. Some of my Southern Gospel Forward folks are trying to take over the comments here. I'm trying to say, what in the world was Evan saying here? He says, Riley Wheeler, champ spin forward cast. I don't know. That sounds like an Alan Kendall comment right there is what that sounds like. Miss Johnny Parrish, she jumps in and says hello. And hooty hoo, she says.
Hooty hoo, Johnny.
We'll get to that. We'll touch on that here in a little bit.
Speaking of that, there's you another one. Temple Heaven.
Yeah, cool. And an interesting thing about Temple there is she was actually named after Shirley Temple.
Wow.
A little fun fact.
That's cool. That's cool. Aaron Swain checking in. Hey, brother, just talked to you this afternoon. Good to see you here live tonight. And got all the Southern Gospel Forward crew in with Avery checking in. Thank you so much. One of our most faithful watchers on both formats. Thank you, Ms. Harrison, for joining us from Winter Haven, Florida. And Miss Elaine, she's another faithful watcher. Mm-hmm. She says howdy to Grant.
Hey, yeah, I know Elaine. Hey, Elaine, how are you doing?
Yep. I'm trying to catch these hey Grants because that makes me feel like there may be some known factor there. Miss Nancy Schultz says hello.
Oh yeah, I definitely know Nancy. She up in the Ohio area.
Karen Grimes throwing up a hootie hoo to
Hey,
you.
hootie hoo, Karen. Yeah, we actually gave the show some love the other night on our Night Owl. So I'd encourage everybody to come over here and join us tonight. So
thank you so much. And this is the first time I've seen anybody say that they are watching from Alaska.
There you go. What's up, John?
John, thank you so much for joining us. We got Chardon, Ohio checking in. Brian Park, thank you for being with us. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. This is somebody who saw you last night in Mississippi.
Yeah.
Bremen and Judy Wilbright. I know them.
Yeah, we had a great time last night, didn't we, Jason?
Absolutely, man. If you didn't have church last night, I don't know where or when you could.
That's awesome. Fantastic.
Young Haley. The neat thing about last night, it's something so totally different from the rest of our schedule the whole year, but half of the congregation was actually from a place called the House of Hope.
Oh,
and
awesome.
You're dealing with drug addicts, people with all sorts of addictions that are kind of at the bottom of their barrel. And man, did we have church. People were in the altars, and it was awesome. I'm glad Jason got to see that.
Yeah, man, it was a neat experience, and from what I understand too, I believe there were some professions of faith last night too.
So. Fantastic.
Yeah.
That brings me and I'll keep popping these comments up here. But that brings me back to when I was a kid. I think I was 14 and playing drums for the Bama Boys, and we went and sang in a prison. And it was to the point where I had to load in my drum kit gate by gate. Like I put it in and behind me, and then went in and behind me, and we went in and sang in the chapel of that prison. And that was one of the most spirit-filled. Now, going in, we had things said to us as we were going into the place, but when we got to the chapel that was voluntary, where they didn't have to be there.
Right.
Man, I remember Neil wrote a song that had a line in it because the preacher had said, in his message, he said, "The devil is mad and I'm glad." I'll never forget that. That was good stuff. Miss Haley Hollis. Hey there, Miss Haley. Thank you for joining us.
Hey, Haley.
And Joyce Gooch. Hooty hoo, my friend.
Joyce, how are you? Hooty hoo.
And somebody's going to see you on Saturday, Miss Marcia Ramsey.
Yeah, and I saw Aaron was in here. We're actually going to be with the group that Aaron sings with, Promised Land Quartet.
Yeah.
And maybe he can throw in the comment section all the details on that.
Perfect.
Time and I think it's in Woodstock, Virginia. But
okay.
Those guys, if you've never heard Promised Land Quartet,
they're fantastic.
Do yourself a favor and go check them out. They're great.
Yes, and for our Southern Gospel Forward watchers, we're going to have Aaron on here and a few guests, so y'all stay tuned for that. All right, now y'all going to have to look quick for this because I will not leave this up on the screen long, but there's
Pat. Go ahead and get that off there. Yeah, there you go.
Ignore Pat Barker, right?
Roll Tide, Pat.
We don't speak such language on here, Jason. Come on now. Miss Annette Brown. She's over from Mississippi. She says hooty hoo. And goodness, we've got a lot of people watching, y'all. This is great. And I'm going to have to kind of skip through some of these, and I apologize, but I'm trying to get as many up as I can. Marcia, thank you so much I know this young lady. Hey, Katie.
Hey, Katie.
They just put out a project that is fantabulous.
Yes, they did. Sure did.
Great.
Absolutely. All right. Miss Connie Tipton says hooty hoo.
Hey, Connie.
Miss Frances Rivenbark says hooty hoo. You just got your own language there.
Yeah.
And Wilson.
Scott
Medlin.
Scott. Hey, Scott.
Scott. Oh, he put the boo-boo in there. We don't have to tell that story, Scott.
Cynthia, thank you so much for joining us from West Virginia. We've got Ohio checking in, Odie Boggs. And we're about to the end of these. Tim Dye from Kentucky. Best to hold a microphone. That's some high praise there, brother.
Thank you, Tim. I appreciate that, man. Tim's a great singer, too. God bless you, buddy.
And Miss Rachel is checking in, and I think that she sent y'all with a little something on the way last night.
Yeah, Rachel is. We've already decided that she's the queen of the cinnamon rolls. She sent us with 2 big pans, and I think between Matt and myself, we about finished off one by ourselves. It was so good.
You know what? That Grant, and I was going to show you this before Grant came on, but last night while they were indulging themselves in that, Matthew and Grant had sent us a video. And of them partaking of these things. And the line that got me was Matthew said I felt like there was a party in every bite.
Party in every bite. She needs to copyright that. That's your slogan. It's a party in every bite. And Matthew gets royalties on that. So all right, now Avery, I'm gonna put you up again now. I said hello to you. Come on now.
Well, I see one comment that Avery made, and she said, I loved Wayne Wallace and the Dixie Gospel Caravan. Frankly, I didn't know Avery was old enough to remember that program.
Oh, yeah. And Avery, she comes from a family. I mean, her earliest memories have been Southern Gospel, so she was raised right. So she might have caught the tail end of that. And my cousin Neil, I'm not really fond of him at the moment because he wants Pat Barker for president. And I know why, because it's that Crimson fever. So anyway. We'll leave that alone.
One more thing about Wayne, I was sitting here thinking, around that time, I knew that I wanted to do this, but I didn't know how to get into it. I had no idea. And Wayne had Bill Gaither on the program one night, and I think he was promoting one of the homecoming things there in Birmingham.
Yeah.
And he said, I think Wayne asked him, what would you do? What would you suggest for any young up and coming singer that wants to get involved with gospel music? And he goes, well, I'll tell you what I would do is I would go to Ben Spears Stamps Baxter School of Music. And that's exactly what that's exactly what I did. Cool. And got to meet Bill and Ben, and the Spears sisters were still alive at that point. Brock passed away. But it was an incredible experience. And I've always kind of loved that style of singing because of that time in my life. And I went for a couple summers. That convention style singing is kind of a lost art.
It is.
And I was just with the Hayes guys, and I'm like, nobody can do that like those guys can do it.
Yeah.
But yeah, I've always kind of been thankful for that because it opened my eyes. I got to meet so many wonderful people through that experience because of Wayne.
Absolutely. And Avery says she ages well, Grant. She's older than she looks. She's actually 42. That's a little fact, but no, I'm just kidding. Thank y'all. Y'all keep putting those comments up there. We love y'all so much. Please keep sharing us on the Facebook. Share that SBM Studios page with all your friends, your acquaintances, and your enemies. Share it with everybody. All right. And we appreciate y'all so much. So have you got your next question loaded?
Well, it's this was kind of something I was curious about to hear Grant. Current Hall of Famer. And number 2, what was that transition like? You were with the 11th Hour before you went with Karen. So tell us a little bit about that transition and how it happened.
All right. Yeah.
I'm sorry. You cut out on my end. Can you repeat the first part of that question?
Yeah. Just what's it like traveling with a Hall of Famer?
Oh, gosh. I mean, it's been incredible. Kind of every night is a learning experience, to be honest with you, because I sit back and just watch how she does things. Because when I was with 11th Hour, I did most of the talking and MC work and kind of setting up our song selection during concerts. So honestly, she's been so the things that I've learned have been so it's been amazing. Just the lessons I've kind of learned from her. And as far as the transition, was that the other part of the question?
Yes. Mm-hmm. Yes.
The transition was so smooth, honestly. It was one of those things. I'd heard that Ricky Browdy was leaving the group, and I'd asked some friends in the industry. I'm like, what do you think? Do you think I could do this? And Pat Barker was actually one of those. I sat down and had lunch with him one day, and I'm like, do you think I could do this. What do you think about this possibility? He goes, you'd be crazy not to do it. And, the rest has been kind of history. And it's been an awesome experience because, honestly, what you see with her is what you get. I tell people that all the time, but it's so true. There's no fakeness or pretense or anything like that. Kind of what you see on stage is what you get off stage. Yeah. And I think one of the things I respect about her the most, and I think one of the things that's been so instrumental in the success of this group has been that she just loves people. And I think that shines through. Like when you come to see KPNR in a concert, it's pretty evident from the first few songs that, we kind of have a mission when we go into these places. And she may not be the first person in the room, but she'll definitely be the last. You know what I mean? Yeah. We normally have to drag her out of there and turn the lights off. So, yeah.
Yeah. And Karen is someone, when she says, hey, friend, she means it.
She means it.
And of course, I'm older than anybody in the room and on the camera there, but first became familiar with Karen with the Nealons, of course. Mm-hmm. And the very first cassette, cassettes, a lot of folks watching tonight don't even know what a cassette is, but the very first cassette that I bought with my own money was the one that had Son Go Bring My Children Home, which was a Nealons hit. And I remember seeing them in Florence, Alabama. That's where I picked up the cassette. And even back then, this is not a new or, something that happened in maturing over the years. Karen was Karen back in the day, and she learned under one of the best under Rex Nealon, for sure.
Absolutely.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. Yeah. And she's got a Rex story just about every day. Yeah.
She told one on our show that was quite entertaining. Yeah, absolutely. About a circus adventure she had. Yeah. Anyway.
Yep. She told that story the other night on the Night Owl.
Yeah. Yeah. She told.
Yeah. And I'd never heard that story.
So that was your first time hearing it?
Yeah. It was
really.
Yeah.
She told that at the NQC one year when they had that lineup of storytellers. Yeah. Do you remember that?
Yeah, I do.
Yeah. Yes. She told, that was the first time that I had heard it.
Okay.
I could absolutely see Rex Nealon doing something like that. So, well, let's transition. We're going to bounce all over the place because you're going to bring up something else in a minute about your shirt. I know, and I definitely want to dive into that. But I'm still growing and learning and getting to know Grant a good bit, and I know he and I have a fondness or appreciation that's in the same line, and that is the Southern Gospel Music Association. We were both added to the board at the same time, at the same meeting. And I just, I count us still as a little bit on the younger side when it comes to some of the crowd in Southern gospel music. And you're definitely one of the younger ones on that, in that boardroom. So maybe talk a little bit about what that means to you and why you're drawn toward the Southern Gospel Music Association and what it stands for.
Well, it hit me. I had some conversations with a few people, maybe a couple years ago now. And Arthur was one of them. And I just told him, I was like, I feel like there's a generational gap in this genre. And it's time for these guys that are my age just to kind of step up and just become more involved in everything that goes on. And that was really just the biggest thing. And I have such a big respect and appreciation for the history of this music. And I want to see those that have come before me get honored and recognized, kind of like what we were talking about a little bit earlier. So,
yeah,
that was one of the main reason I got involved. So,
absolutely. And that's, and your age and even beyond is one reason I'm in. Now, I am old school. I can go back with you. I'm kind of transparent. I'm not for politicking when it comes to these voting things, but I've already cast my vote for the Hall of Fame this year. And I mean, I go back to Shorty Bradford and the Happy Two now. I mean, I love traditional old Southern gospel music all the way through to today. And I look out across the genre and see such an amazing group of young people on stage and a growing group of young people in the audience, which is one reason that I want to be involved, is to start bridging that gap as well, taking our genre to the future generations and growing that group as well. So yeah, kindred spirits there.
I love that. And on the Night Owls, actually, we were talking about just that thing. Maybe this past week or the week before, how much young talent is coming up through this through Southern Gospel right now. It's unreal. We talked about the Hayes guys, all the inspiration guys. I'm so proud of them. And me and Roland are actually about the same age, but Luke is one of these guys. Let me tell you this, Luke Vaught. A lot of times in quartets, the tenor and the bass get so much attention, but to me, that joker right there is one of the most talented people on that stage. If you pay attention to what he's doing playing and listen to the baritone part's not an easy part to sing. Right. They do it so well and their harmonies are great. And yeah, we could keep going as far as listing people, but yeah, so much young talent coming up.
Absolutely. And I guess the little motto I share a lot on the Forward program is I don't believe that this young generation is the future of Southern gospel music. I believe it's very part of the now, and then wanting to grow that and let's just start moving forward with it.
Yeah, absolutely.
Well, good deal. So yeah, y'all that's watching, I think this would be a good commercial from Grant and I both. Please go to that sgma.org website and prayerfully consider partnering with us. We'd love to have you. I promise you the dollars and cents is put into the organization goes for the curation of the museum, for the purchasing of the plaques that commemorates the Hall of Famers. And it just would appreciate your support for sure.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, me and you have seen it. Every penny of that goes back into it.
Yes.
And it's so important. And one of the biggest blessings you get out of it is that you're actually able to vote. Yes. And that's going on right now. So
yeah, absolutely.
If you all remember, vote.
Yeah, absolutely.
And I'm really ashamed to admit this.
Okay.
But as long as I have been around gospel music, I mean, and I grew up on it and been involved in it, but this year, just a few days ago, I joined the SGMA for the very first time.
Sure did.
Oh, good for you. That's awesome.
So, but now I get to vote.
Yes, you do.
Yeah,
absolutely.
But I love, not a lot of people may not know this about me, but I'm a big history guy anyway.
Yeah.
And I just love the history of the music.
Yes.
And I mean, going back to the Hall of Fame and museum, you go in that museum and my goodness, I mean, you can go back for years and years in there and sit and go through that museum and learn all different kinds of things about all different groups.
Yeah.
So,
and I love the deep dive on that. And you think about this and I know that we live in a modern convenience style way. A lot of the groups have conversion vans or buses, which, JD started the vision of the traveling bus, the customized bus, and you have FaceTime and cell phones to keep up with family. And that's great, but it's still rough. I know young Avery, when she traveled a couple weekends ago with the Chuck Wagon gang, learned a little bit about what that road life is like. But when you go back to the pioneers and think about how they did it, in maybe stretch limos at best, or just a sedan, with a little bit of product and a makeshift sound system in the back, traveling through the night in the cars, trying to sleep. And then, in the radio program schedule. And it's just amazing to look at that history from where it's come from.
Yep. Absolutely.
Oh yeah. It's come a long way.
Yep.
Well, Grant, I wanted to know, and I'm sure there's several, but who are some of your biggest encouragers to you today in the industry or elsewhere?
Oh gosh, I've had a lot. Honestly, I've been very, very blessed to have a lot of these guys that have kind of come before me, that are older than me, kind of push me along and encourage me. I think of Mark Trammell, Gerald Wolfe, Clayton Inman is another one. If we're with them, I never leave the stage where he doesn't say something to kind of build me up, honestly. And Dean Hopper's another one, man. When I first started trying to learn and sing with mixed groups, I would put in Hopper's CDs and try to sing along with Dean. And if they called me tomorrow, I could probably do one of their concerts. I could do his part.
That's good stuff.
So yeah, those are just a few that come to mind.
Yeah, good deal. I guess we might as well just jump on into this.
Come on.
So tell the folks that don't know, I mean, a lot of our comments have had the Hootie Hoos in it. And of course I've got the sweatshirt, and Grant's got his on. So tell us a little bit about the Night Owl Diaries and how you and Matthew kind of just sat and came up with this, and it's really just over the last year just kind of blown up.
Yeah. Let's see, when maybe 3 weeks ago, we were at the Wisnet's homecoming up in Morganton, North Carolina, and that was the 1-year anniversary of the Night Owls. I was actually driving, and we were going down. We were working with Paul Belcher the next day, I think, at Fort Oglethorpe, Georgia, and it might have been 1 or 2 in the morning. And Matt was sitting up with me, and I said, I wonder what would happen if we went live. Like, you think anybody would watch? And we maybe have had 20 people, something like that tuned in. And they absolutely loved it. We sat there and talked for maybe an hour. And it was a lot of like this. We were just kind of reading comments and going back and forth and kind of starting conversation. And it's kind of morphed into this thing now where we actually have product. And on any given week, we normally, by the next day, have about 10 to 15,000 people that have watched the show. So it's really, really crazy. And there's not a concert that goes by that we don't have a Hootie Hoo or see a shirt in the audience or something. It's wild.
And there's a big following to that, and it's almost kind of becoming like a family, because you're getting to know these people just by watching the Night Owl Diaries and seeing the people comment, and even John Sanderlin from Alaska.
Yeah,
it's kind of funny because he and I just in the last few days have been messaging each other back and forth, and my goodness, he's in Alaska. So it's neat. It's a neat thing.
And I think we saw that last night. Like, you guys were there. Annette Brown was there. There were so many people in the audience last night. Rick Blandsett from all over Mississippi and Alabama that had come that night and were talking. And so it was pretty cool to see it, like, for me and Matt, that this kind of formed this community of KPNR family, friends, and fans. And it's been really, really cool.
Yeah.
Well, and talking about the format, and you mentioned the word family, and that's something that, and I know I've mentioned on both show formats we have. One thing that sets Southern gospel music apart from other genres, even in the Christian genres, is the family. I mean, the artists are just a big group of family. You see the positivity, you can see the encouragement between the artists, and even, the ones commenting tonight here and cheering one another on. And then the fans get to become part of the family with the interaction with the groups on the road. And the format that Grant and Matthew have, and even the formats that we have with this, where you're just kind of laid back and you're just giving a little window in, I think that just helps draw more into the family.
Yeah,
and makes it comfortable. So, and I have watched now. I am now. The joke around here is I turn into a pumpkin at about 9 Central Time, but I watch, and I've actually had them on and laying down, getting ready to go to sleep, but and I enjoy it because it's genuine, it's real, and that's, to me, a characteristic of Karen Peck and New River. They're real and they're family.
Yes.
And I like that window that we get into there. And
well, thank you. Yeah, I appreciate that. And honestly, exactly what you said is kind of our goal in that. And we were talking on the 1-year anniversary night about this whole thing, and one of the things that stuck out the most to me is we get these comments from people that they're going through cancer, divorce, all these different situations in their lives. And, like, you don't know what this night has meant to me, just kind of forgetting about everything that we're going through in our lives and just kind of having a laugh. It's been awesome, man. And it started out as just a joke, just to kind of goof off and have a good time. But it's kind of become more than that we, both of us, probably had thought. So,
yeah.
Oh, well, and I think I've told you this before, and I know I told Matthew, but it just makes our Friday nights. Rachel and I look forward to it every Friday night, and it's funny because most every night where Karen and them are at, they will put a picture out there of where they're singing that night. And later on in the night, somebody will comment on that post and say, you know, where's the Night Owls and what time y'all coming on and all this kind of stuff. But it's funny.
That's good stuff.
Yeah. Some of those people get on to us. They'll post and say, you guys aren't on yet. What's going on?
Yes.
We're a little busy.
And I'm going to have to, I'm a hoodie junkie. So I'm going to have to.
Hey, these hoodies are comfortable.
I'm going to have to pick me up one. You know, I know it's fixing to get summertime, but we have to keep our house at about igloo range during the summer. So I wear hoodies even during the summer in the house. So I need to pick me up one.
Yeah, man. Let me give you a shameless plug, solidgroundcoffee.com.
There you go.
Hey, that's
we
it.
do all of our merch through Matt's website. So you can do anything that you see, the t-shirts, the hats, the hoodies, it's all there.
And that's what you call setting the ball on the tee and letting him hit it.
Yep. That's it.
Not my first rodeo.
Good stuff. Hey, real quick, y'all, if you have questions, put them in the comments. I'm going to hit a few more comments right quick. And let's see, Miss Regina Moore says, hello from Spruce Pine, North Carolina, and says that Grant's been such an inspiration to her son. Thank you so much for sharing that, Miss Regina.
Oh, Regina, thank you. Yeah, I know them really well. And Eric's doing a great job. And young guy, great voice.
Got a coworker watching there. Jason, Diane Pounders is watching. Hey, how
Diane.
you doing? Good to see you. And Solid Rock Radio Program. I was watching on their page, and yeah, absolutely. Karen is a real genuineness about her for sure. Let's see here. I'm kind of blazing through here. This is very unprofessional, but I'm having to read as I go, y'all. Yeah, this is some comments on Luke. Of course, Aaron chimes in, and he is unreal. And I knew I had an inkling of a guess that Riley liked Luke. Would you ever guess that?
I'd have never believed.
Yeah, I kind of picked up on that. But anyway.
I only see Riley when we sing with the Inspirations. I'll just say that.
I think that he voted Inspirations even in soprano and alto and and everything. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. Don't write me a letter. Let's see here. I think I've already hit some of these. And for sure, y'all put your questions in the comment. Patricia Jackson says that the Night Owl Diaries is always a fun Friday night. Yes, ma'am, it is. Thank you so much for watching in.
Hey, I'll say this while you're scrolling through there.
Yes.
Some of the forward guys kind of were getting a little mad that I joined this one and not them. But I'll be honest with you, I'm pretty sure I'm old enough to be Riley's dad. So.
Well, it's like I told you off air. You're on the fringe because
I'm on the fringe. Yeah, I'm actually 38. I don't mind sharing that, but yeah.
We say 35 to 40 is kind of like on the private group that we have for the artist and the young fans. We say 35, 40. So see, you're fringe. We could have had you either way, but we nabbed you here.
Sometime after we go off the air, I'm going to need you to explain to me what a cassette is.
Shut up. Good boy. You still got 8 tracks. You ain't that much. What are you, 3 years younger than me? Come on.
3 years apart.
Yeah. And I do have 8 tracks and LPs and cassettes.
Hey, when I first started singing, I got started singing locally around Jasper, Alabama, and I would go sing in these churches. And some of the first tracks that I had were actually the cassettes.
Yes.
You don't realize how long it takes to rewind a cassette. So you're sitting up on stage
and
for the next one to go.
Hey, yeah. Well, I was going to say, my boys don't know. I've seen these memes on Facebook in different places. Like, nobody knows the struggle, and it's the picture of the cassette when it's strung out, and you got a pencil stuck in there trying to wind it back into place.
Yep.
That's tough, boy. And also as a singer, I started singing with cassette tracks.
Yeah.
And there's nothing worse than, because I would always do the deal where you found where it was going to start and then pencil it back and get it set. So when the guy hit play, bam, you're going. Yeah. And somebody inevitably at the soundboard would jack with that and like rewind it all the way. So then you had that long pause in there after you talked up a song. And that was always great.
Oh, and listen, I'll go ahead and tell you, like, I have come a long way since 14 years old. I am very much an introvert. I'm not a person that I'm honestly not a person that likes to be out in front of people. Like that was a big thing to kind of overcome in singing. But oh gosh, I would just sit there with my microphone and wait for that sucker to play. It was awful.
It's good stuff. Let's see. Here's one of our regular watchers. Megan has joined the show. Good to see you, Megan. Thank you so much for watching. And I've got a question ready and queued up.
Go right ahead.
Let's go ahead and do this. And I love this question. And Rachel is always good to throw this question in here for us. Grant, if you wouldn't mind sharing maybe a favorite passage of scripture and favorite hymn.
Yeah, absolutely, Rachel. My life verse is John 3:30. He must increase and I must decrease. That's kind of what I try to live by every single day, and my thoughts and my actions and what I've kind of based my life around is that scripture. And my favorite hymn, I actually sang it. I sang it last night. It as well is actually my favorite hymn. And I'd never had a track to that song. And Wesley Pritchard actually filled in between me and Ricky, and that was his track. And so when I came with the group, I fell in love with it, and I sang that for about a year and a half till I was on a record with Karen. And I don't know, I just kind of brought it back here recently, and people love that song.
It's one of my favorites as well. Got kind of a Bradford thing going on here. Hannah's jumped in and said hello. I don't know that I believe this. Do you believe young Avery started out singing with cassette tracks?
I don't believe
it.
I don't know. Maybe she is 42. And then Evan has joined in on the banter, and he wants to petition to let Grant come on the episode. And we, hey, you never know what's going to happen. I got petitioned to have more interaction from more people on the show. So who knows what we might get in line here.
Now, all right. I didn't know Avery sang till I think her dad or somebody posted a video of her with the Chucks.
Yeah.
And I was so impressed because that style of singing is not easy either, like what they do.
Oh,
and
no.
She fell right in there and did a great job. I knew Evan sang and played, I think, guitar. But yeah, that was a lot of talent in that family.
There really is, and they actually have their family a group that they go and sing. And I'm toying. I don't know. And this is the spin. This is not Southern Gospel Forward, so I need to. But Avery, beautiful alto and range voice. Riley really sings well and sings parts well. Can do the baritone part. Evan can hammer down the bass. I'm thinking at some point we need to do some kind of playing around.
Yeah.
That might be a good little fundraiser. If somebody jumped in and helped them out with the budget, we could put together a Southern Gospel Forward quartet and put a song out.
Yeah.
You gonna sing or me?
Not me, brother.
He'll manage the group. Yeah.
I'll manage and run sound. How's that?
There you go.
Oh, now this is a unique question. Nobody has ever asked before. If you were to impersonate a Southern Gospel singer from the past, so who have you ever tried your hand at a Jake or anything like that? That's usually one that somebody tries. Who would you see yourself lining up the best to impersonate?
I don't know. I've never really tried. As far as somebody from the past, I don't know. Now I love, you get the whole, we talk about the history of Southern Gospel and like the Blackwoods or the Statesmen. I'll be honest with you, I'm more of a Statesman kind of guy. Love Jake, but Jack Toney was probably my favorite.
Nailed it. Yep.
But anyways, I don't know if I have an answer to that question.
Yeah, that was a unique question there. And no, Evan, I do not think you
want my presence though. I'll work on that.
If you had said Vestal, I'd have been worried. But anyway, Jason, can you play piano? Evan says you could play piano for us.
I'm afraid I'd disappoint you there too, Evan.
All right. And finally, somebody put something up like that.
There you go. War Eagle.
I'll leave that on a second. And so now we're going to get a showcase spot on. They already got it up. The Southern Gospel Forward Quartet. That name's not trademarked. We might could have that, couldn't we? Yeah.
Blaine's pretty good about that stuff too. He comes up with that stuff pretty quick.
He is. I don't know. I don't think we can get in this year, but we are hoping to be at the National Quartet Convention.
Yes, we are.
We are praying for some booth space. And
talk about that. I saw maybe one of you guys posted. Y'all are looking at getting a booth space this year.
Yes.
Yes. We are on the list. Talked with Clark, and of course, it's usually a waiting list for that, and kind of depends on when the deadline passes, who secured their spot, and what has come available. So, yeah, that's when you see us doing the things on here, like for sponsorships and all that kind of stuff. The SBM Studios, SBM Ministries, we are nonprofit in the point that we put no profit in anybody's personal pockets. It's all going for the budget for things like that and to go to places. And I've got 3 youngins that are in school or starting out careers. So we're trying to help them get their budget together.
There you go. I think that's awesome. That'd be very cool if you guys have a presence there.
Yeah, if we do. We're going to set up, and I know we're going to honor the wishes, because I don't think that you need to go live. I think that's kind of the rules for the space from NQC, and we definitely will not. We will do what we need to do, but what we can do is set up and do some taped videos that we might could integrate and mix together and then put out on our platform here. So that'll be fun.
Yeah, absolutely. I do that all week long there, so I'm sure you could.
Yeah.
I think Miss Annette Brown that's watching tonight. Of course, they were there last night, and she had asked me about that. So,
okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
So if you love the spin, and if you love Southern Gospel Forward, and especially my 3 young children on I'm Papaw, so that's my grandchildren there. If y'all would prayerfully consider your sponsorship, or if you'd like to make a donation, just give us a call or a ring or a text or an email, or just contact us in the comments, and y'all are a blessing to them. That we're going to be there whether we've got a booth space or not. Let's put it that we are all going to be there.
There you go. That's a great week. And I would encourage anybody that's kind of watching, that kind of trying to figure out how to get into singing gospel music. That's a great place.
Yes.
Just to show up and meet people. I tell people that all the time. That's one of the places that everybody's kind of there for a week. And that never hurts at all, just to show up and kind of introduce yourself. And I did that too.
Got to start somewhere.
Yeah, that's a great place to network. Yeah. There's been a lot of hiring that's happened during the National Quartet Convention week. I've bore witness to some of that over the years,
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Some tryouts in some hallways.
Absolutely.
Very good. Well, why don't we transition and promote some all things Karen Peck and New River? Okay. Would that be okay here? And we'll come back and wrap up with some questions again. But one thing I definitely want to share, and we really appreciate, the artist that comes and becomes a part of us they don't have to do this. And as you mentioned, Grant came in late or early, and I'm sure he's tired, and he's given us one of his day off evenings, and we appreciate that. For our watchers, if y'all would venture over to KarenPeckandNewRiver.com. That is the website address for Karen Peck and New River. And so many things you can get from that website. And one important thing is their tour. They would love to see you at a concert. You can follow their tour and find out where they're going to be. You can also go to the store and pick up their music and any other merchandise that they might have there, and support their ministry, because all of that supports their ministry. And it's really, the merchandise is a big, important part of the ministry and helps keep them on the road. So, and then finally, all the booking information is on the website. They would love for you to consider having them at your church or your venue. So I really wish that you would go to Karen Peck and New River.com and show some love to the group and to Grant for sharing his time with us tonight.
Well, I definitely appreciate that. And let me tell you this too. We're on Bands in Town, and I constantly tell people, you won't believe how many messages and things we get on. How come we didn't hear, you guys were right down the road and we didn't know this, and we didn't know that. Let me tell you something. Bands in Town. Follow Karen Peck and New River. Matt does a great job. Matt actually is in charge of that, updating that every single week and letting you know where we're going to be. And there's no excuses. If we're in your area, that's the way to find us. And let me tell you this too. One of the biggest events for Karen Peck and New River every year is our homecoming. And we're going to blink, and it's going to be in June. There you go. June 6th through the 8th, right here in our hometown of Dahlonega, Georgia. It's actually on the, I call it the compound, but that's where Karen and Ricky and Susan, they all live right there together. And they have a beautiful property with it looks like a chapel. It's a stage right there in the field. And we have preaching every night. Ray Flynn's going to be there, Tony Suarez, C.T. Townsend. And as you can see on the screen, so many of our friends, Brian Free Insurance, Carolina, Triumphant, Todd Tillman, Inspirations, and actually the resident artist for the Ark, True Song, is going to be there for the first time this year. We're excited about them joining.
Excellent. Yes.
So we got a huge lineup prepared this year. We always have a tent. So if it rains, we're still going to be out there singing. So bring your lawn chairs. We'll have room for everybody. And if you're out of state, let me tell you this. We will have tickets for you, but I encourage anybody, go ahead and secure your hotel reservation because Dahlonega is a small place. And unless you want to drive an hour one way every night, you'll kind of be out of luck if you don't go ahead and do that soon. So we have several hundred people that come out there and join us. So it kind of fills up quick.
I know 2 other people that'll be there, but they won't be singing.
I think I know them too.
Excellent.
I know them too.
Rachel and myself. Yeah.
It is, and it's a beautiful area. Such a beautiful area to visit. The backdrop on, as Grant called the compound, it's just a beautiful area, and you can't beat the lineup of artists. And have you ever heard C.T. Townsend preach in person?
I have.
You have.
I have.
I'm gonna tell you something. He'll bring the fire.
He does.
Oh yeah. My granddad used to say, "Shuck the corn," like that. Yeah. That preacher shuck the corn. CT knows how to do that, brother. He is fantastic. And if you've never heard Tony, Tony's the same way. Tony's a fantastic. He's kind of in evangelism. He does a great job too.
I've heard Brother Ray and I've heard CT. I haven't heard Tony in person, but yes, evangelistic is exactly the label to put on CT. And so that's great. So yeah, y'all go ahead and register, get your tickets, get your hotel rooms, and go experience Karen Peck and New River homecoming. You will not be sorry you did. So we wanted to share a few things to
I appreciate you letting me do that too. Thank you.
Absolutely. Did we miss anything?
No, that's it. Definitely. Yeah. And I think we mentioned Solid Ground, the shirts, everything you can get there on that. And be sure to come out and see us, man. We love having all of you guys from Forward and Spin coming out. I see y'all quite often, especially when we're in Alabama. So I think that's really, really cool.
Absolutely. You got a question fired up?
I guess probably a final question for me.
And I'm going to look through the comments right quick too while you're asking. Okay.
So Grant, just a fun fact or an interesting fact about yourself that maybe not a lot of people know.
A fun fact. I think a lot of people probably don't know, and I don't know if I can show it or not, but one of my hobbies is actually saltwater aquariums.
Oh wow!
And
okay,
let's see. It's kind of dark, but it's right other side, right over there.
Okay.
We've got about a 60-gallon saltwater reef tank back there, and I got out of it when I first started traveling. So I'd not done this in over a decade, and my son absolutely loves Finding Nemo.
That's great.
So, needless to say, this Christmas we kind of fired the tank back up, and it's one of my kind of hobbies outside of music that I really enjoy doing. And I'll be headed to the fish store tomorrow.
Now, this is not a hobby, but something that maybe not a lot of people know, unless you're a part of the Night Owl group. But you and Matthew just recently started doing something when you guys are at home. Can you talk about that just a second?
I sure can. Yeah. Let me say this. Let me back up a little bit. Back during COVID, when I first joined the group, we had a driver we had a bus driver that had been with the group for 12 years, and COVID hit, and he liked staying at home. And so that left Ricky as the only person with a CDL that could drive. And so me and Matt kind of both decided we were going to step up to the plate instead of hiring another driver, that we would help him with those kind of responsibilities. And both got our permits. And this, like I said, this was during COVID, and both let those lapse and had to get the permit again. And the regulations and rules kind of changed on how you got your CDL.
Yep.
We were kind of in that period a year or two ago. And my father-in-law is a teacher, or he was a teacher in our county. He said, I'll tell you what you need to do. You need to just learn how to drive a school bus and go through the county and get your CDL. And it's actually a little bit easier than going through a trucking school and learning how to drive that way. Because believe it or not, the DOT in Georgia don't really understand when you pull up to a bus lot or to a test lot with a 45-foot tour bus, what they're looking for. Mm-hmm. And so a lot of people that have come through this that also drive have failed the test several times. And so I went off and did that about a year and a half ago, and have in my spare time has been driving a school bus. And let me tell you, that has been very, very interesting. Pray if you have kids in school, pray for your teachers and the bus drivers, because we have stories every week from doing this. And I could tell some stories, but it honestly, it just makes you sad to see the state of where everything's at, to be honest.
Oh, yeah. Yeah. So how many kids on your bus, when you usually average, what would you say, how many kids are on your bus?
Oh, you have normally about 30 to 40 kids.
Okay. Because in my area, and it's different all over, but like when we were young, your buses would be full. And now in our area, so many people take their kids to school that sometimes I'm behind a bus and there'll be 10 to 15 kids on there. So I didn't know how many.
Yeah. And it's the same, because I'm subbing, so every bus is different.
Yeah.
And what I thought was so funny and interesting, and Grant, correct me if I'm wrong, but the other night when y'all were talking about it, you would think they would have, like if I were driving, I would have an adult. I would have somebody there telling me where to go and, what house to stop at and all this.
No.
Kids
No.
on the bus.
There's been many times I'll show up, I'll get a call like, hey, we actually need you to do so-and-so route. It's elementary school. We don't have any notes for the route, but they've got a really good helper. So you're literally, if you got 30 to 35, 40 lives behind you, and you're dependent on an 8-year-old to get you through a route. It's incredible.
And if I'd have been that kid on that bus, we'd end up fed at the McDonald's. You know what I'm saying? Just keep on going. Keep going straight. Keep going straight. I know that's interesting.
Yeah, it's crazy.
All right, let's pop a couple more. Blue Ridge Gospel, thank you so much. They're giving a shout out to us, and this is first time listening because of Grant. So
awesome.
Grant brought us, and they say hooty hoo, good networking. Thank you so much for joining us here. And I think, unless I've missed, I think that's going to about carry us through our comments. I don't see any other questions. So thank y'all so much for chiming in. It's always a treat to have your input, and for y'all are as much a part of the program as we are when you get right down to it. So we thank you so much. So I would do a quick, I got to represent my kids now.
Yes. I know where you're going.
Yeah. So let me ask a forward question or two right quick, just so I can represent. So other than Kennedy grown cinnamon rolls, what is your favorite road trip snack?
Favorite road trip snack? Honestly, it would probably be something sweet. Out of the group, I'm not for savory and salty. I love sweet things. So and it kind of changes with the season. Those little nerd clusters, I forgot what those are called, with a little gummy stuff on the inside.
Yeah.
I can get in trouble eating those and, really quick. And I love a Reese cup. Reese cups are
Can't go wrong with the Reese's,
Small
man.
ones, actually. I don't like the big ones. I like the little small ones.
And we have never done this on this show. I'm going to do something for the first time.
Oh gosh. Okay.
Okay. We've done it on Forward, but we never done it here.
Okay.
So on Forward, Grant, what we'll do is we'll switch it up and just for real quick, let the guest ask the host a question. So is there a question you'd like to pose to this guy? Or, I mean, you can, me, whichever, but throw a question out there.
Well, I think one, I don't know if I've ever asked either one of y'all this. How did you decide to do this? How did this come about?
I'll let you take that.
Okay. And he might come up with another one. You can chime in though.
Yeah.
So this is in 2020 during the COVID year, I started SBM Studios podcast, which was just audio only. I had some, I would call people up on the cell phones, plug it into my stuff, record them and edit it down. That went on from 2020 through the first part of 21. I got wrapped up when Garrett, he's a senior, he's playing his last basketball year, kind of had the Mully Grubs moving in with it, trying to catch everything those final first and all that kind of stuff. Yeah. And then my dad passed away that summer and kind of threw everything upside down. So that just kind of died and it sat there from 21 and I would go to NQC. I would go to the places and folks ask me, you going to do that some more? I wish you would do that more. I didn't. And then back at the first of last year at the Sand Mountain Song Fest in Arab, I talked with Avery and Evan Bradford because I had the thing that kept gnawing at me was the youth side. And we'll get to us in a second, but the youth side, I wanted to do something and I had this thing. I wanted to incorporate young folks, grow the young Southern gospel community. I knew Avery and Evan were super fans, talked to them. They had interest. I had never met Big Red before. I'd never met Riley. I'd seen him. He stands out at the concerts, but I knew he was a fan favorite. So I messaged him. We ended up chatting, calling, talking. He was game. And so we started moving forward with that. Then Jason and I start talking and we're like, well, we could do a young folks thing and we could do kind of an old folks thing. Because Jason and I, of course, we're about 3 years apart. We went to the same high school, but we really didn't. No, I mean, we wasn't like close or anything back then, but when Jason and Rachel moved back in 2007,
December of 07, we moved from Nashville.
Back to Kennedy. Mm-hmm. Quickly, the Baines and the Boldens became friends that I feel more like family. There you go. They're my brothers and my sisters. We partner in ministry. We partnered in church ministry. We've served as deacons together and church leadership together. He was my sound man for 120 years as I led worship. And they've been part of SBM Ministries, which is we've ministered in a local community for years. So we've just got this partnership and love each other to death and thought we'd try the old folks show. And here we go. We get to kicking off, and so far, so good.
Yeah, all that Scott said, and he brought it to me, and he said, "What do you think?" And I said, "Well, all we can do is try, and see how it goes." And I mean, now we're in episode 7 of this thing, and like you said, we both of us are advocates of the young folks.
Yes.
And because that's where it's going. Now, do I love sitting here and getting to talk to you, Grant, or anybody that we have on the program? I love getting to know people because I'm a people person, and I love getting to know people, and to get to know people in the industry like this that was not, maybe some that were not in the industry when I was traveling and running sound back then, but I told Scott, I said, yeah, I mean, let's go for it. And let's see where we go.
Yeah. And you mentioning that because you ran sound on the road for how many years?
Right at 6, going on 7
with McKeithans and Galloways.
Yes.
And because of that and all the folks that you've met and being a fan, and then the connections of my fandom and the stuff that I'm involved in, it's kind of like you got the 6 degrees of Kevin Bacon. You can probably do about 3 or 4 degrees of Jason and Scott. We can pretty much connect with about somebody between us. So that's another thing that helps us with this and with making the connections. And I think there's a comfort, I hope, because all y'all that's watching will notice that everything that's in Southern Gospel Forward and the Southern Gospel Spin is positive. It's encouraging. We're family. We're cheering on everybody. We're never going to go negative. We're never going to go National Enquirer. We love everybody, every artist, every fan. And I think the artists know that. I hope there's a comfort level there. So, boy, that was a long answer.
I was fixing to say, Grant, that was probably a long answer. But,
no, that was great, because I can't remember the episode that I saw first. It was before Matt did the forward one. It might have been one of you guys. But I thought it was great. And so, when y'all approached me, I jumped at it, because I think what you're doing is fantastic. And it's, I don't have the same platform, but I try to do the same thing when I run into people that are younger than me, that are singing, that want to come up into this. I try to encourage them the most I can. So I think it's awesome. And I'm thrilled to be here.
Well, we appreciate you, and we appreciate your friendship so much, and who you are, and you live what you sing. You're ambassador for, Karen Peck and New River and Southern Gospel, but more importantly, you're ambassador for Christ, and your heart is to share his gospel with all, so that those may come to know the Lord Jesus as Savior. And thank you for your heart and who you are. We appreciate you greatly.
Well, I appreciate that. Thank you.
Yeah, and I'll piggyback off of that, and we're probably, I don't know how close we're getting on time, but Grant, we've held you long enough probably, but I'll just piggyback off of what you said, and because this is kind of something I told Gary Casto on our last episode, but thank you first and foremost for what you do, night in, night out, and because I know it's not easy. Because we talked about, me being on the road for 6 or 7 years, and but towards the end of that, I was married then, but we didn't have kids at that point. So I know the sacrifice that goes into that. And I was leaving my wife, to go do that, but not only are you leaving your wife, you're leaving your little boy there, and you're gone for who knows how long, in a week's time or even longer. So thank you for what you do and the sacrifice that you make in doing that, because like I told Gary, I know what you stand for. I know your heart. I know what the reason why you're doing it. So I appreciate it.
Well, I thank you. And I'll say this, I love my wife with all my heart, but when that little boy came along, that's really, when we were expecting him, everybody said, it's going to change your world. You're never going to know a love like that. And boy, were they right, because it kind of helps you put things in perspective and what's important. Because this was my life for a good chunk of my life, and it still is, but it's not everything, if that makes sense. You know what I mean?
Sure.
And when I'm home, I try to be home and present, and make the most of this time. And boy, does it make leaving so much easier.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you this story. I know we're about to wrap it up, but I was saved when I was 13 years old, and our church used to go on mission trips to a place called Brownsville, Texas.
Mm-hmm.
It's right on the southern border in Texas and Mexico. And I kind of made a promise to God one night on that trip, literally outside looking up. I just said, God, here am I, send me, whatever you have for my life, I'll follow you. And he kind of took me at my word on that. Literally, as I look back, I'm hitting one of those milestone years in a couple years at 40. And I think back often to kind of how I started, and I can just kind of see his hand in every bit of it. I literally grew up singing. I didn't know where to start, so I sang locally around Walker County, and then from that had a full scholarship to Liberty University for singing, and left and didn't have to pay a dime, and got to kind of follow my heart, excuse me, and sing gospel music. And now singing with Karen Peck, met my wife, and have this beautiful family and life. And God has been better to me than I ever deserved, for sure.
Yes.
Amen.
Thank you.
And the word tells us that the Lord orders our steps, and everything that you just said is testimony to that he has ordered your steps and has blessed you greatly. And he's blessed us by getting to know you, brother. We appreciate you so much.
Well, Jason, Scott, it's been fun, man. It's been a lot of fun, and I appreciate all the kind words.
Yes, sir. Thank you. And to y'all watching, thank y'all so much. We love y'all so much. We appreciate your support. We appreciate the shares. Y'all keep doing that. Connect with us. But we'll go ahead and head to the barn until the next time. Y'all take care. God bless you. We'll see you next time on the Southern Gospel Spin.
All right.
See ya.